It's festival season, and this weekend it's the Cambridge Folk Festival. I mention this as this week I'm talking about ethical investments or ethical, sustainable, and responsible investing to give it some of its ever expanding list of other titles. And even 10 years ago, anyone asking about ethical funds would have been assumed by many in our business to be a beardy or floaty dress and sandal wearing folk festival attendee. We've always discussed these sorts of funds as an option with everybody, and thus we know that's not the case. And I'd say that pretty much any young client today, and for me, of course, that's anyone under 50, is likely to be an investor in so-called ethical funds of one sort or another. Because there are lots of sorts of these sort of funds these days, as more and more fund houses wake up to the opportunities. And you'll have heard before about our grading of them, from farm assured through pescatarian, vegetarian to full vegan. Now, for many who invest to do good things and avoid doing bad things, taking profits or making money along the way is maybe not their first concern. But an awful lot of others saw how well the majority of ethical and sustainable funds performed just before, in and after the pandemic, and jumped on board and have been thoroughly disappointed. Because certainly for the last 18 months or so, you would have done much better, not brilliantly, but much better, in unethical, or what we prefer to call conventional funds. Now, these don't invest in fossil fuels and energy companies, which have continued to make fortunes over the last year or so, as you'll have heard this week with British Gas. Most arms companies have done pretty well too in the last 18 months for obvious and perhaps rather perverse reasons, as interestingly have tobacco companies, which are seen as safe dividend payers in dodgy times. During the pandemic, it was all of these which fared worse, as no one was flying or driving or fighting or probably smoking as much. Think, however, about the future. Ethical, sustainable, responsible investments include renewable energy companies, good technology, medical research, and the best fund managers, hopefully those we recommend, are happy to tell you why they choose the companies in whom they invest and the good stuff they're doing or hoping to do. I still think they're the future, that the last year or so will soon seem a blip in their performance generally, and that will continue to persuade the clean-shaven, who are not keen on public toe displays, to embrace that future. So, hey nonny no, and here endeth the lesson.